that for the... Yes, my friends, it is Levack and Goz. It is a Tech East Tuesday. We are live at Tech East Fire and Water Restoration, your best way back to normal. Check us out online at tefirewater.com. Instead of being up in the big front room that we enjoy being in so much, we decided to take over the old the executive lounge here at Tech East. The reason being, the sun is beating down the front of this building, and it was a gajillion degrees in there. It would have been mildly uncomfortable, to say the least. Like, skinny people were complaining, and I was not lobbing my fat ass into that room. Probably come out in shape, though. Maybe that's one of these days we'll have to do that in those like sweatsuits, those garbage bag suits that wrestlers work out in, and just see like how much water we lose during the show if we do it up front. It's bad. It's aggressive. But we're here. We're having a fun old election Tuesday here at Tech East. You vote yet?
I did vote. I did.
I also voted. I voted.
USA.
Yeah.
USA.
USA.
Did
you vote? Okay. Did you vote? I don't need to know who you voted for, because I don't want to argue with you.
We don't care, to be honest.
I do, but I don't. I care. I hope that you're voting the way I want you to vote, but that's democracy. If it doesn't go my way, I will be okay. I will continue to try to make the world a better place with one dick joke at a time. Hi, I'm Jeff Levack, and I'd like to be the next governor of New York. I don't understand the economy. I don't really understand the environment all that much. As a matter of fact, I have trouble spelling New York sometimes, but I'll give you a good dick joke now and again. All right.
That's all I can do for rights and purposes.
Right,
there. That's
right. Hail to the queen. Oh, sorry.
Election day is great.
Election, it is. And it feels a little bit more like election day today because they moved me. Luckily, I looked, because like last night I was like, oh crap, how early do the polls open? I couldn't remember. So I'm looking it up and I'm like, wait a minute. Like, I went from voting at like a hall, I think it was an Elks Hall, I don't remember which one it is, to now I vote in a church. So like I would have went to the Elks place going, no, I vote here, and been like really confused, but luckily I looked. So I was a different church, and different layout, smaller place. Very nice old woman on my way in. My experience is very different from yours. Guys were just telling me about his. I do hate people more though today, and I think that's why it's more like a normal election day. Like, there's this nice old lady, and she's got the cane. She's got that I love it. It's the one that's got like 4 feet on the one cane, so that she's got the stability.
Right.
I think that's how I'm going to get down if I live that long. And I'm like watching people just whiz by her, like almost like a cartoon, to the point where she like looks like she's spinning. You know what I mean? And I get up, like, and my whole goal now is to get just enough speed where I can open the door for her, where it's not like awkward where I'm waiting for her and she hurries more. So I was like, oh, she stops. She goes, oh no, you can go. I'm like, ma'am, I'm just looking to open the door for you. She goes, oh, well, you're just moving faster than me. And I told her, I go, listen, if I move too fast to be polite to you, my mother will rise from the grave, slap the taste out of my mouth, and then neatly put herself back in. So she laughed at as well, thank God. And then she goes, do you know where we're going? I'm like, I have no idea. That's the other reason I was hoping to follow you. I was really hoping you knew where you were going. But so that was my vote. And then I voted uneventful from there on out. Got my sticker. It's on my computer because I'm cool.
You had an eventful day. I did too. I mean, I kind of wish I hung out with that old lady though. She sounded a lot more like
nice.
A treat.
She's a nice old lady. She was.
I had this lady.
She did not offer me a hard candy, and I thought that would have been a thing, but no.
No. The lady in front of us, we're only like 4 or 5 people deep. Little too comfortable with a 2-year-old. Like, to the point where after we were done, I'm like, did we know her? Like, right. We know she's not related to us, but she was.
Did she know she's not related to Rex?
Yeah, a little too comfortable. She didn't touch him, luckily.
Oh, yeah.
And then we had the screaming protester for the first time in 15 years, Levack, a screaming 70-year-old, all 90 pounds and 70 years old, over 60 inches of sizzle, 5 feet of fury, screaming about politicians in her pocket, and she doesn't care if she gets arrested today. Great.
Yeah.
Cool.
And It does feel like a very passionate election, but I'm seeing like the results. It doesn't look like as many people are voting. So whatever. It is what it is.
A lot going on in the capital city today.
Yeah,
the capital district.
Yes,
Albany, New York. Can we start with? I guess we're the home of the Albany Empire.
Yes.
Huge news. Sam Castronova back with the Albany Empire. This is huge because there's been some rumors out there, to his credit, that there were going to be some other leagues, and this could still happen. By the way, again, this is November of 2022.
He's in the XFL draft pool.
Exactly. So you beat me to it. The XFL draft pool, there's a possibility that things can change and Sam can make different decisions. But the news that the quarterback of the Empire, who led them to a championship this past season, has agreed to return to the franchise for their foreseeable future. So I'm going to tag that. Huge news here for the Capital Region, seeing him come back.
Yeah. And how do I put this mildly? I'm always happy for Sam. I think he's one of the greatest guys. A very big Sam Castronova fan. I remember last year it was him and Mike Faithful, and Faithful was, and Coach Manasseh at the time said it was a quarterback. They were competition. He was going to use 2 quarterbacks, all these things. Well, he had a guy with the UCLA cred, and he had been on championship teams, stuff like that, and he had already been here once before. And Faithful, the media obviously gravitated to him. And I just remember at the media day that you helped me out with over at Apex, going to Castronova and going, "Hey, do you want to talk to any? Like, do you want media? Like, I don't want to bother you if you don't, but I'd love to make you available." He's like, "If somebody really wants to talk to me, so be it." And then he pulled me close and he goes, "Feels like it's Mike's day though, so I'm good." And I was like, that was one of those things where I think he's a real good dude. I think he's a stand-up dude, amazing athlete. And I for the Capital Region, I hope that he does not get in the XFL. For him, if he does, great for him. But I really, for the Cap Region, for my home, I don't want to see him go.
By the way, for our visual audience, we did not time that up that perfectly, where the glamour shot of Castronova's behind us, in between us, while we started that conversation. Somebody might have caught that. No, we did not do that on purpose. That is incredible. That is incredible that worked that way.
We're not that good.
Yeah. I'm really happy that he's coming back, because I like that underdog story he had. And just time in and time out, he proved to people how good he could be. Yes, I will be put into that media section because I talked to Mike, and Mike's a good player. And I let Sam Castronova, who ended up having the best story, I think, of 2022 in all of the Albany sports world this year, go by. And I hope that's not lost here in November, that's the best sports story, in my opinion, locally this entire year, is Sam Castronova's journey to the championship.
That's one of my favorite, like the Faithful thing is always one of my favorite, like, recreations of history, because that I made a very big deal about Mike Faithful's arm talent. And people were like, "Yeah, arm talent, whatever." No. He threw for 300 yards in that game that we lost, that he played in. He has probably, I would put him towards the top arm talent in all of arena football. Sam Castronova has the wheels plus the arm talent. Like, he's that dual threat that was needed for the Empire last year.
And it was really cool. You showed this to me. I've seen this out there as well.
Don't tell people about that.
I rarely give, I don't think I've ever mentioned this other media company my name on the air, but I'll give them credit for this because it was really cool what they did. 2 Buttons Deep had a post about Thomas Rhett's hometown tour, and they asked who's the hometown team in Albany. And I would say, from the comments I read, the Albany Empire overwhelmingly.
Oh, you know what? It was the River Rats. River Rats.
Okay.
The River
yes,
Rats,
you were correct. It's the River Rats, which kind of pissed me off. I did not think you were going to. They don't exist. That actually got me mad. I didn't think I was going to go there because that didn't count in my brain that the River Rats were going to win.
I actually was pissed off at 2 Buttons Deep for doing the thing. It's smart. It's a good post.
Easy engagement. Yeah.
It's what you need to do. But it was just like, I'm sitting there watching the people, and I know people pine away over River Rats. Let me just tell you something. Let me help you guys out. Here on election Tuesday, okay? That's when we're doing this. If you fake fucking fans had gone to those games the way you go to the internet, we would still have a hockey team.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
Lady, the hockey team. How many games did you go to? Well, I didn't go to the games.
What about the River Rats?
Again, I would love to have a hockey team here. It's not my thing. I like the Thunder. We go up, we check them out once in a while. It's great. It's only a couple minutes up the Northway. I would love for the MVP arena to have lacrosse, basketball, football, hockey, all the indoor soccer. I don't give a shit. Everything. Have all the things. You didn't go. I was running the radio station when you were here, and I remember having many conversations with them saying, you really should stop airing the game because no one goes to your game. I know they listen to it on the radio because I get complaints if something goes wrong on it, but no one goes. So again, if you want to be a River Rats fan, so be it. You didn't go.
It did bother me that was getting a lot of traction because it seemed as if some people posting were just uneducated about the sports world. But I brought that up because the Empire got love, and then that picture's out there of Thomas Rhett with the Empire jersey on.
Yeah.
So it looked like he had already picked who the hometown team was.
And you know what, Rhett? I'm on to you too. All right. I saw your comment in there where you started talking about the River Rats.
Oh, he got in there.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Either him or whatever intern handles his social media talking about the River Rats too. You just counted up the comments. You commented on the comments because guess what? You didn't get a River Rats jersey. You know why? They ain't here. You know where you can find the River Rats mascot? He works for the Valley Cats now. Okay.
They're dead.
Yeah.
You hear me? And they're not coming back.
I would love it. It's just not. Nobody goes. I think it might be one of those where there's just too many games, and there becomes lethargy. I guess I don't know. I know people love hockey in this area. I know they go see the Thunder. They support the Thunder in droves.
Awesome crowd. Really fun crowd up there.
You didn't go. You didn't go. You can write it on the internet all you freaking want. You didn't go.
I feel like there might even be a banner out here for this. This is a good segue, though, if we're talking Albany Capital Region sports. A lot's happened and happening this week, maybe more so than any other week of the whole year.
By the way, welcome back, Sam Cashno.
Yes, thank you. Sam, I just segue into this because I think we'd be reminisce. That's not the right term, but I'm going to skip over that. I'll edit that. Thank you. What's going on with the Albany Firewolves? There's a report here locally that George Manius, who used to be your job, the Albany Empire president,
that's Matt Wood's job.
Matt Woods' job. All right,
I don't have a job right now.
I guess that doesn't even work that way because it's different ownership. Held the titles, the better way to phrase that.
Yeah, that's right.
George was Empire, Scranton, Wilkes-Barre Rail Riders, doing stuff for the Albany Firewolves, the president in that role, and then now is resigning December 1st. I know you guys are neighbors in the
I'd like to consider us friends.
Friends, yeah. MVP Arena. You guys share office space and stuff like that. Is that how you do it?
George and I became friends when we worked for him the first iteration of the Empire as an on-field guys. He then worked for us as the head of sales over at the old radio company, and that's right, sales. You worked for me, bitches. And then when he got the Firewolves, I was with the Empire, so we've worked together a lot. He did unfriend me on Facebook, which I found odd.
Ooh, Jamie and Christian, former Siena Saints coach style with us.
It's weird. Okay. I don't know why he would do that, but
have you talked to him?
Just a couple quick texts.
Okay.
So he let myself and Mike Huerter, owner of the Empire and Tech East Fire and Water Restoration, your best way back to normal, with a brand new and just reimagined construction department. We even do roofing now, by the way. We're here for you. He let us know the night before, hey, this is coming out tomorrow. I just wanted to give you guys a heads up. And then didn't talk to him for a couple days. Text him today. I was just like, hey, I haven't heard from you. Good? And he's like, yeah, out of town, man. I'll call you when I get back into town. So he has effectively, he's resigning. His number two, who he just brought in, I can't think of the guy's name.
Pareca?
That's a great, it's a great restaurant in Schenectady. I love Parecas and more Parecas. He's gonna be taking over, but it is the timing is odd. And then not actually having a conversation with George as to exactly what has happened is a little odd. My guess would be, though, if you're a hockey fan, maybe keep an eye on where George lands next, because the only thing I can think of that he would willingly leave the Firewolves for would be to launch. He's a hockey guy at heart. I could see him going to work for a hockey team.
Interesting.
Like if there was ever a chance of a hockey team being in the Capital Region, that's the guy who would bring it to you, in my opinion. But I don't know. Yeah, it's very odd timing. The lack of communication has me curious as to what's going on. But Firewolves under new management.
Yeah, we're going to say again, that's not a report. That's speculated. Journalistic integrity, we're throwing out the window here. We have nothing on record to report.
No, it is under new management. We just don't know what George is doing next.
Yeah, I'll talk about your hockey potential thing, because that makes a ton of sense, because we just did a whole hockey segment. There's clearly some interest from people. The MVP Arena, I'm sure, would love to have teams back in that spot. The tough part is that the AHL right now, I don't know what city they would take, because Utica's taken Binghamton, and Binghamton had taken Albany. I don't know where the city is going to come from and what's going to be the sell to get it back. But like you said, the connection now that you just brought up hockey, there's two things that jump out to me.
I was saying, here's another reason. Here's another reason I know that you guys wouldn't have supported the River Rats. the guy who loves hockey more than anybody I know, launched a football and a lacrosse team.
You know that Danbury Trashers movie? Like that's going to get the movie?
Yeah.
There's a part of me. Again, we're doing...
By the way, you know that Sopranos is based on that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Reckless speculation.
Reckless speculation.
That I wonder if George would be interested in that. I don't know where Danbury, Mass comparison to Albany, New York is. I guess it's less than 3 hours away.
If it's on ice, he would like it.
Yeah. That's one thing I thought about. The second one I thought about is I just recently watched the 30 for 30, and it took me about a week, but it was worth it.
30 minutes.
of the fate of the sport. The story about the PLL.
Yeah.
So the Premier Lacrosse League and the Major League Lacrosse League, and we're talking about indoor lacrosse. So maybe the recency bias was in my head where I wondered, okay, if George was with the Indoor Lacrosse League and sees that the PLL at least is getting these TV rights, partnering with LeBron James on a 30 for 30 and everything else, is there an executive spot or another lacrosse spot opening for him that he thought's better for his career? Again, recency bias, journalistic integrity out the window. You and I knowing George personally, it would seem as if something may have popped up. I don't think it's an Albany thing. I don't know if it's, I don't know.
Well, you bring it, and you actually did spur a little bit of a thought. If you remember correctly, 2018, he was the president / COO of the Empire. 2019, he actually transitioned into an AFL job. He was still overseeing the Empire, like from a farther away. He was launching new teams. That was his job. So maybe that could be a thing. You know, maybe the NLL has moved him up to go launch new teams. You never know. It's George. I could show up at Tech East tomorrow, and if he was helping gut a house with fire damage, I would not be shocked. It's what George marches to the beat of his own drum. So Ryan McCarthy, our number one listener, Utica has a 10-year agreement with the New Jersey Devils, the only team I could possibly see relocating their AHL franchise are the Rangers and the Islanders. Now, you want me to show up? Give me a Rangers team. I would go to those. I do have to buy a Rangers jersey. I forgot. I made a deal. I'd buy one. I got to get one. I don't know. And as Goz said, that's just reckless speculation, like what's going on with George, just because when he made that move to the league, he didn't make a big deal of it. So the fact that this press release is out there, he must find it beneficial, or the team must find it. We'll see. We'll see what happens. But, it's piqued our curiosity.
It has, especially with the marketing influence.
And unfriending me on Facebook.
And that too. What we can find out happens over the next few minutes. Okay, so
I know I haven't done a lot of material on Facebook lately, but I'm trying. I'm very busy.
We've got NAL news, election news. We have indoor lacrosse news. Okay. You would think that would be it all week.
No.
We have the return of the Albany Cup this weekend at MVP Arena. The Siena Saints, the U Albany Great Danes. I feel like you and I, from a local standpoint, I felt like at times we were, maybe not the best analogy, but in the trenches with this.
Yeah.
And now when we kind of take a step back, and by that phrase, for people who don't know what we're talking about there, you and I had to interview U Albany and Siena coaches all the time. Right. And not just over the phone, in person.
Well, and the ADs.
So it's like, who are you rooting for? Albany or Siena? Levack and Goz? Who are you picking? Where's the show?
That's if we were lucky enough to get those weren't that awkward for me, because you know me, my loyalty lied with whoever would give me the honorary degree, the honorary doctorate. Whichever one would have given me the honorary doctorate, I would have gotten a tattoo of their school logo, and that I would become the biggest fan they ever had. Dargenio at Siena and Benson at Albany, I don't know, either too scared to unleash that kind of greatness on the world, or just maybe they didn't have the power. Maybe I overestimated their power. I don't know what it was.
Fear, maybe.
Right. So that's how I always got around that one. When you and I used to get the most crap is usually it was you who would do it, is when it wasn't happening. And you would ask each one of them every time they were in there, like, the interview's done. Will Brown thinks he skated. He's out of there. Wayne Killings, everybody thinks they're safe. And all of a sudden, Goz goes, "Hey, one more question. What about the Albany Cup?" And they're like, "No, Kozlowski." And now they've agreed to it. They're doing it. This is going to be a fun game. So this is the MVP Arena. This is going to be if I'm not mistaken, this will be your first chance to see the brand new Jumbotron. being installed today.
Oh, that's a little sneak
Yeah.
peek. I did not hear the Jumbotron report. Cool.
Yeah, so they're gonna have I don't think the ribbon board will be up yet. So brand new 360-degree ribbon board around the inside of the arena, but the new improved larger Jumbotron is go. I believe it's going in today. So just you'll be the first to see the new tech that the MVP Arena is putting in since it became the MVP Arena.
I like it. That is really cool stuff.
How you like that, huh? How you like them apples?
I'm interested in what it's going to feel like, not from a media sign, because I know every
Who's
single
win?
media. I think UAlbany is going to win. No, they're not. Sienna's going to win by like 20. I think Sienna's going to smoke them. I'm curious to see how the reaction is, if it's still a strong, intense rivalry like it was with Coach Jimmy Patsos and Coach Will Brown, because that was intense. Like, you could feel it.
Yeah.
I don't think Jimmy Patsos and Will Brown liked each other, and you could feel it on the sidelines.
I don't think they liked anybody.
No.
Patsos liked you until you told him no. Mm-hmm. Will likes me. I don't know about.
No, he liked me too. I don't think I think he's competitive.
Patroon's coach. Will
That's
Brown.
right. I think he's competitive. There's nothing wrong with being competitive. I think he's competitive.
Will didn't like a lot of interviewers. Will Brown was the master of the over answer. I heard somebody else talk about this on another sports channel. I don't remember what I was listening to. It might have even been Stern who was talking about it. Like, people who answer questions for a really long time. No, you know what? It was Boomer and Gio. They were talking about Brian Cashman. Brian Cashman also over answers so that you can't get another question in. Well, like, you learn right away if you're going to interview Will Brown, and I love Will. You do not ask him how he's doing, because he'll take 3 minutes to answer that because he knows you only got 10. And if I can eat up your time with these softballs, then you don't get time to ask me, when's the next Albany Cup? When's this? What's the hardest thing about being the Patroons coach? Like,
Coach Patsos is the same way. Yeah. He was like, I remember you guys used to warn me, like, he's a roller coaster. Just be prepared. You're going to get 2 questions. And then Jimmy and Christian.
Yeah, you got to jump. That was the thing with Patsos. You just had to jump in.
Yep.
Yeah, Jamie and Christian was very gauged dancers. I liked him. That upset me when he stopped being our friends.
It was a wild scenario with George Washington, and then like recruiting, and just his whole career has been an interesting one to follow. But anyways, back to the Albany Cup.
I stopped following it. Do I not like him now? Did he do something bad?
I think he might have gotten canned from George Washington actually last year.
I don't care about that.
That rivalry of Sienna UAlbany, I hope that is still there, because locally, when you take something away for a long time, the hope is that, hey, it's been gone for a while. Now that it's back, people are going to appreciate it more. I hope that's the case Saturday night, that we see an intense rivalry. The students are there. Remember, the most recent Albany-Sienna game that was at SEFQ Arena was on Thanksgiving break.
Right.
So the fans and the students kind of weren't there. We hope that this comeback is going to live up to the hype that people like me have been trying to get back the whole way through. But I, again, believe that Sienna is going to destroy UAlbany, because UAlbany is at a point in their program right now where there is so much change.
Yeah.
Because you had Dwayne Killings come in. I wanted to put that in. Killingsley, hello, TK, here I am. He came in that year 1, and then it's a bunch of transfers, and the transfer portal is a whole new world. And then now this entire assistant coaching staff is gone.
Right. There was drama last year there.
And much love to Coach Burke at Skidmore. They should have beaten UAlbany in that matchup. They barely lost. And Skidmore's got a 6'11" kid playing D3. Okay. Sienna should beat UAlbany. I hope it's a close game. I hope the rivalry's there. I'm a little concerned it's not going to live up to the hype.
So I think one of the things that hurts the rivalry is that Dwayne Killings and Carm they're nice guys. So like Coach Carm's a little more he's a little more gruff. You know what I mean?
He's a hoops guy who doesn't.
You catch him the wrong time. You ask him the wrong thing at the wrong time. He's going to let you know.
Yeah, it's like he's back in the old European courts. Wants to throw a bow and not get away with it. Yeah.
Coach Killings is just extremely professional and forward and friendly.
Yeah.
Both very professional, a little more friendly. They're so nice to each other. Like, everybody's so respectful to each other. I will tell you a little more insider information. I'm probably not supposed to give this out. Luckily, nobody watches this crap. Levack and Goz live at Tech East on a Tuesday. Look left, look right. There's no one there. Behind the scenes, it is definitely cantankerous. It is details. It is like it's one of those ones where people are walking through, and I'm not going to say which sides because I'm not going to get that. But people are walking through and going, "Oh no, you said you promised we would use this and not this, and this and this." Like, they're making sure like there was an agreement put in place to bring this back the right way, and you're going to do it.
We're talking infrastructure here. We're talking seating. We're talking banner placement, ad placement.
Ports.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, it is definitely like if this is a neutral game, it's a neutral game. And that's kind of what's going on from my understanding behind the scenes.
I would love for it to be a final.
Again, luckily, no one's fucking. This is just like speaking in the air.
I think it really.
Here, let me do the show now. Hey, everybody.
I hope
you enjoyed today's show. Levack and Goz.
If Siena destroys UAlbany, that's kind of how it was 20 years ago when UAlbany was on its way up in the mid 2010s, the teams with Peter Hooley and more. That's when UAlbany fan could stand up and say the reason it went away was because Siena fan realized we were better.
Right.
And I think there might have been some truth to that. Now it's coming back, and if Siena smokes them by 15 points, that's not good for the rivalry. I hope that's not the case. Good, a great game. Saturday's packed, by the way, because you have that and the Bro Show. So
I'll be at the Bro Show.
There you go. It's a great event going on Saturday.
To the Bro Show first over at Rivers, and I'm bringing the Graces with me, the Empresses.
Nice.
Yeah, don't ask. People are like, people might start to do math on how much time I'm spending with certain places and not others, and you're not missing it. It's there. Keep digging. And so the Empresses, I hear Brandon Cisse might very well be on scene from 2 to 4. Bucky fucking Dent is going to be there while I'm there, and I do have a room because I'm not fucking leaving.
That's going to be an amazing event. I don't know. There's some part of it that wants to do a show. We'll figure that out. We'll just keep your eyes on social media.
Come hang on the room. Because I'm thinking too, like part of like the beauty of it being like all Saturday. Like if there's I'll go around, I'll do whatever. There's the mullet competition on Sunday, I believe. But like I was just, maybe I'll just go hang in the sports book. Maybe I'll just hang in the sports book. Get a little downtime. Hey, all right, good for you guys. I'm gonna go watch Michigan. Going the other thing. So the Bro Show is at Rivers in Schenectady. Tempted to answer that. And there's also a place called Mohawk Honda that you can visit on Saturday. Let me see that. What's that calling you right there? Don't answer that. There's also a place called Mohawk Honda that you can visit this Saturday so you can get yourself a new vehicle. Mohawk Honda wants to get you a new ride as we get closer and closer to 2023. Just texting my guy John today. He is the man. If you've been maybe putting something off service-wise on your vehicle into November 2022, when you should have done it at least 6 to 9 months earlier, don't worry. Mohawk Honda will help you find exactly what you're looking for and make those things fixed in your vehicle that you shouldn't have put off and waited. And then told your husband to take care of it because he thinks he knows something about cars when he doesn't. We don't have to get too specific about it. Mohawk Honda will help you. She knows that John. Yeah. And everybody over at Mohawk Honda. Yeah. That's what she knows. And then if she decides that she wants to go to the other part of the Mohawk family, get herself another Chevrolet, she'd call Uncle Jeff. He'll take care of it. That's right. Because those are my people over there, Mr. Andy Gelcher and everybody. She will call. By the way, I've been hitting Andy up for a lot of favors. So if we could go ahead and get a car bought. All right. Andy's getting a little sick of my phone calls lately. I hope that my wife calls you Levack and not Uncle Jeff all of a sudden. That would be. Well, when you're not around, she calls me Daddy. Oh, is that weird? Wow, that is very weird. That is, I don't know how to Mohawk Honda. I want to slap you, but I also it's too close to the machinery, and I'm doing a nice, wonderful sponsor promotion. I want to get physical. She doesn't. She calls me Levack. No, Levack and Goz live from Mohawk Honda Thursday, November 17th. Maybe for the last time ever. If we're not dead by then. Very busy. Mohawk Honda. When you get there, I'll be at your house. Always go out of the way to please you. This guy, real weird. Actually, come on. There we go. That's my physical assault on you during the show. I wish I had some terrible things. I just, that if I was going to journey into your family, I would go after I'd go after your sister-in-laws. Okay. I love your wife. Much better. Tall, beautiful woman, very smart. You're lucky to have her, but I would never do that to you. Now the Friends with Benefits crew that I don't understand why they're not on Godzilla Media. I don't understand that. Download that podcast. Follow that on Instagram. Sit up for a second. Goz's sister-in-law, one of them, many of them have worked in Vegas. Yeah. Like, how does that happen? Like, and how he never brings them around us ever. Ridiculous. That's why I have to make these jokes about your beautiful wife, because I want you to distract me with the others. Two of them are single now. I think just 2 left on the market now. So, hello, ladies. Friends with Benefits podcast. Follow them on Instagram. Speaking of beautiful women, Cindy Martin says hello. She texted me today. Shout out to Cindy, doing big things. She's trying to buy your house, sell your house.
Again, shout out to Cindy, doing great.
And Corey, speaking of not so beautiful ladies, Corey, hi guys. So our crew is hanging. We're ready to go.
Uh-oh.
I'm just laughing because I think it's the first time I've actually made you angry with the wife.
They were just so quick. Calls me daddy. Let's do an NFL rapid recap here. Let's talk about games that happened in the week that was the NFL. I know there's another banner up there. It's down there somewhere. NFL recap. Did I not put it in?
I don't know. I'll find.
It's just NFL recap week 9. Let's talk about the games. I have this game listed on the top. We're going to recap week 9, the headlines, the things that made us wonder. Let's start with the New York teams, okay? Let's start with the Bills and the Jets. If we want to sit longer on this one, we can because it's the New York teams. The New York Jets, 20-17 winners. Right? I like that. 20-17 winners over the Buffalo Bills. Levack, I will come out with a hot take, and you give me all the analysis you want from this game. Mark it down. Go to Rivers. Bet it.
Okay.
The New York Jets are a playoff team. The New York Jets are going to the playoffs. I told you on Sunday, if they win outright, they're doing it. They look like a playoff team. One of the biggest wins in 10-plus years for the Jet franchise this past Sunday.
The two story points that come out of this game for me, because you're right, the Jets, the coaching is solid. The defense is playing great. The offense is okay. I mean, you see Wilson and Wilson starting to vibe together, but that's about it, without all those running backs. Josh Allen had the quote of the year for me. It's tough to win in this league when you're playing a good team and your QB plays like shit. I thought that was if I didn't already think he was amazing right there, boom. Problem is UCL. He might, do we know by now? Do we know yet?
Conflicting reports about that UCL. That's like the Tommy John scary 3 letters you don't want to hear. I've heard reports that he's going to play Sunday. I've heard reports he's out for a month. So it is very much conflicting. I can't read. What does that say?
Ryan McCarthy, recap me harder, Daddy. The worst part is I can see him saying it. Go ahead.
Sorry, I wish I could voice it into the show and just hear Ryan drop that as a drop. Yeah, so the Bills, I don't think they took the Jets for granted. I think the Jets were a better team throughout that entire game. New York was more balanced.
Early Josh Allen was just obviously the best player on the field.
Yeah.
But when he hurt his elbow, and you saw it, where they were checking it after the throw and everything, it changed the game quite a bit.
You and I were sitting next to each other watching this game together. There were some plays with Josh Allen, the one in particular, the touchdown run, where there's no wide receivers, no running backs. Allen's just like, I'm going. Right. 40-yard touchdown, nobody around him running people over.
And it was either a super awkward looking naked bootleg, or like you said, he just went, oh, the play's over there. I see a lot of green. I'm going. Yeah, it's Jets are good. I still don't love the quarterback play. With the injury to Breece Hall, there's a lot of problems. I got a lot of problems with that team, but they're on their way. They're definitely on their way.
Definitely the worst game Josh Allen's played all season, even though he made some nice plays in that first half. Sauce Gardner, I know it's so easy to give him the hype because he's
good.
He deserves it. There you go. He brings the hype to himself,
and he tells you how good he is.
There you go.
The one thing I will say, that defense is one you don't want to play, where they have a bye week and then it's the Pats. So win that game, regardless of how you win it, because nobody's better at winning ugly than the Pats. Beat the Pats now, and then I will shut the F up and tell you it doesn't matter how your quarterback plays.
I want to make sure I got this right, too. The Jets right now are tied for the most wins in the AFC.
Yeah. Yeah, but still, them, the Bills, and
Chiefs and Ravens all across. Let's go.
Raiders.
Let's go to the Chargers and the Falcons, 20-17 final. In this one, we thought Atlanta might be able to take the next step as the top team in the NFC South. They're no longer in first place, and the Chargers continue to be a team you don't want to wager on. By the way, Chargers and Falcons, maybe that's the battle of who you don't want to wager on. I think that was a push, by the way, at the end, too. And they did everything they could to lose this game, both teams.
I think this is, I've summed this up as who the fuck are these guys? Because even the way the game ends is so weird that I still don't know who the better team is. Austin Eckler, he fumbles, but then they get the ball, but he didn't fumble, but then they fumble, and it's just insanity. And then ultimately the Chargers kick the field goal, win this thing 20-17. But if you told me they were going to play this game 10 times and Chargers win 5, Falcons win 5, I'd be fine. I would completely believe it.
It's weird because the Chargers don't feel like a disappointment, but you just think there should be more, right? There should be more out of that franchise.
Justin Herbert is the definition of, wow, that guy's really special. And now when he's not really special, everybody's just kind of dying on that hill anyway. He's just an average looking quarterback at this point. Now, is that an offensive thing? Is that a coaching thing? Is he just in a slump? Like, I don't know. But right now, he is not the world burner that we were told he would be.
Definitely not. Even though the LA Chargers still in playoff contention for sure in the AFC. You nailed this one. 35-32. You said a lot of points were coming in Dolphins Bears. It was slow moving.
Right.
It was slow moving at first too. Justin Fields. I know it's a losing effort, but I want to make sure I find the stat involving Fields and how much better he has played since October came onto this calendar. It's especially
Dude, he's a freak. Dude, so just to tell you about this game. This game, he had this is what my point was. Tua threw for 302 yards, 3 touchdowns. He's not the story. He wins the game, not the story. Justin Fields, 123 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, 178 rushing yards, and a touchdown. Like Tyreek Hill had 100-something yards, 170 yards in the air and receiving. And not the story. The story is Justin misses Fields. Best cookies you ever had.
So more rushing yards this season than Joe Mixon, Christian McCaffrey, Zeke Elliott, Austin Eckler, Alvin Kamara, Leonard Fournette, Najee Harris.
Together.
No.
That would be a stat. Like that would be.
I thought that was pretty good.
That would be impressive. I would be like over the moon on that one. No, he's and the thing is, like, he is the kind of player that you can see the confidence building, and as the confidence builds, he's getting better. So that, like, and obviously, like, really you get confident when you play better. But I went from thinking that Justin Fields was a bust, another just Ohio State bust eye, which is, I'm sorry, that sounds way dirtier than I meant it to like, now with the right system, the right players around him, who knows what he could end up being. He's playing special.
Playing really well. Eberflut's out there in Chicago. The difference in this, and you mentioned a lot of stuff for Miami, they're just a better team right now, top to bottom. Like, they're more aggressive, better roster. Yeah, Miami's a better team. They got that win, a tough Chicago team.
Should be better, though.
Yes, should.
That Dolphins defense is going to let them down, too. I think my favorite stat of the day at, like, Sunday night, I'm almost done with all the football. Like, I can't. I've lost so much effing money this weekend, bet responsibly, whatever, that I'm just pissed off. And I see the stat of the Dolphins have not lost a game that Tua has started and finished. So if Tua starts a game and plays all the way through, Dolphins are unbeaten. There it is.
What a stat. It's incredible.
You know what I'm saying? If he gets hurt and he goes out, like, if you're another team, you better put the dude Tua on the sideline, because if not, you're going to lose.
We had a few quarterbacks take the field for the Panthers. PJ Walker, Baker Mayfield, he came out there. Joe Burrow and the Bengals, 42-21 winners over Carolina. No Jamar Chase. Hey, let's high five each other on this one, because we both said, I believe this game would be over at 145, and it was over at 145. Cincinnati destroyed Carolina.
Joe Mixon, 5 touchdowns. Faced him in 2 leagues.
Oh, no.
I faced him in 2 leagues. 4 on the ground, 1 receiving. Joe Mixon had a day. 5 touchdowns for Joe Mixon.
Best fantasy football performance of
any player.
I went 0-3
this weekend, by the way.
Oh, you played Joe Mixon twice. You got an excuse this week.
The other one, I had no excuse except for the fact my team sucks.
Cincinnati is going to be battling for the top of that AFC North, and definitely looks like the team that won the AFC last season. Carolina is trying their best to get that #1 draft pick. Although they now have competition, we will get to that team in a second. We thought it'd be the Lions, but it's not. 15-9. They defeat the Green Bay Packers. That line stunk. It felt weird. Detroit did enough. That's the way I'll phrase this one as well, because that was a brutal game to watch. No action, not a lot of points. Holy hell, did Green Bay get bad fast. Detroit, the defense played good enough.
Aaron Rodgers is done, right?
Toast.
It's over for Mr. Ayahuasca.
Got his money, and he's going to be saying thank you very much. Off to go smoke the payout.
You wouldn't put Love in, though, would you? You wouldn't.
Ooh.
You wouldn't put Jordan Love in, would you?
It feels.
I saw people calling for him.
Oh, man. It feels more like, I know Aaron Jones got hurt in this game, I believe, as well, too. If he didn't get hurt, he didn't play well. He had to get taken off the field. He was that bad. I think he got hurt. He got hurt. Yeah, I don't think it could be Love. It feels like there's a lot more to that Packer team, that they went all in on Rodgers and thought we're going to make one more run at it, and he's not the same player.
Well, and his deal is set up where it's so guaranteed that I think next year he's like a $90+ million dead cap. So the question becomes, is because I don't see him. I don't see Aaron Rodgers gracefully bowing out. Do you continue to try to build a team that can win around him, or do they make changes because of him? Like, does a guy like LaFleur, does he lose his job because Aaron Rodgers has lost it? And like, well, I can fire you, and I have to pay you a couple years of like $5 to $6 million a year. I get rid of Rodgers. That's $100 million down the toilet.
I can't imagine they're going to get rid of LaFleur because he's been historically good to start his career. Green Bay has to look at themselves, management, GM, president, ownership, which is choppy because it's publicly owned, and say, how many years in a row did you say you were going to get Aaron Rodgers targets? How many years? This was your year to do it. You took a kid from North Dakota State in the second round. Aaron Jones is fine. He's from UTEP. They could have let him walk and go get somebody else.
Right.
You thought Alan Lazard. You had big bad Bob Tonyan. You had all these opportunities, even at the trade deadline.
Right.
And you didn't do it.
We got to teach our boy Cam something. Insta Cam. Guys, don't make fun of me. I already got harassed by Jets fans enough. He's a big Bills fan, big Josh Allen fan. Cam, I wouldn't have made fun of you. You basically told me to make fun of you. Like, Cam, you don't do that. I'm going to give you a pass because I love you, brother. But you don't do that. You literally just said to me, hey, I don't know if you've noticed me over here, but you haven't abused me yet. Okay? Like, listen, I'm with the Bills. Unless Ellen's elbow needs surgery, because Goz's boyfriend, Case Keenum, ain't taking you to the promised land. I stand to lose quite a bit of money. I bet them to win it all. I'm that dumb, okay? Don't ever point out to someone, hey, you haven't picked on me yet. Don't pick on me is like saying pick on me. That's what it is.
Throw something at me. Hit me.
Right.
Hit me.
Hey, don't do this. Okay, now we're going to do it.
Giving people reason to criticize you. That's the Indianapolis Colts. As the Colts lost to the Patriots 26-3.
Can't wait.
We can talk about the game. I feel like the game has now been overshadowed about what's going on in Indy. Frank Wright now out as the team's head coach, and the new head coach is Jeff Saturday. Levack, I'll let you lead off with this interesting development.
The worst thing about it is the Colts are just bad. They're just bad. Like 26-3, you get sacked 9 times. Ellinger, right? I mean, I don't even know who it is.
Is Texas back?
No. Yeah, he's on his back. 9 times you get sacked. 26-3, you lose. The guy, Frank Reich, here's the question. And I would love, now that he's not, like, those people can't hurt you anymore. Okay, you're free now. You're away. Did you pick all those quarterbacks? Like, once you lost Andrew Luck, were you the one who said, I want Phillip Rivers? Okay, Phillip Rivers, I thought maybe there was a little toothpaste less in that tube. I thought maybe, just maybe. And then Carson Wentz. And then Matt Ryan. Was that you? Because if that was you, you deserve what's happening. If you picked one of them, if you said, you know what, I think Wentz could work. He's my dude. We work together well. I might forgive you. If you picked all of them, you deserve what you got. Jeff Saturday. As a guy who's been referred to as Jeffy Saturday for my great work on the field for the Empire in the past, what are you doing? I mean, you better make this work. Otherwise, you and Jim Irsay look like you're just cutting up lines of Adderall. And you're like, you know what would be funny? I should be that. No, you should. And then it was too late to sign.
So Frank Wright is 40, 29-1 as the head coach of the Colts with those quarterbacks he listed off, not adding Hoyer and Jacoby Brissett, who was very much younger at the start of his career there for Indy. It is.
Which, by the way, Brissett was maybe the best quarterback he had.
Yes, when you look back at what
because they ran the damn ball.
What happened with Indy and the Andrew Luck retirement, they never, as a franchise, got over it. I know Jim Irsay brought it up in the press conference. People thought that was an easy way out. He's like, I've never had a quarterback retire mid-career, mid-season on me. You're not throwing shade. You could have just said his name. Like, we're not guessing at this point. He did it in August. And we have to go back, I think, in history, too, of the Frank Wright setup, right? Because Luck retires in August, and everyone thought that Colt team would be the worst team in the NFL, and they played really well that
defense
season.
Was solid, bunch of turnovers, ran the ball great.
They did really good that year, and Frank Wright continued to surprise people what he was able to do. You ran through the quarterbacks of what they had after that. They thought they could just piece it together. It never worked out. I think Frank Wright is going to be like Doug Peterson 2.0, where eventually it just didn't work. He did about as good as a job as he could do in Indy. They have never recovered from the Luck retirement. He's going to get another job somewhere. He's going to be really good at that job. To the Jeff Saturday thing. Okay, so Saturday's a legend for the Colts. They gave him the job. You asked the question, what is Jeff Saturday doing? I think Jeff Saturday looked and said, I'm taking the money. I know I've made millions of dollars in my life, and I've got the nice cushy ESPN gig, but Irsay's given me more money than ESPN's given me, and my expectations are so low that if I lose every game this season, no one's going to criticize me because I shouldn't have probably had this job to begin with. If I start winning games, hey, maybe Saturday could do this. But if you are like Reggie Wayne, who is also a legend in Indy and also on the coaching staff, you've got to be hotter than anybody pissed off at Irsay. Be like, dude, I'm on the staff.
Yeah.
I'm like Saturday. Why did you pass? Let me do it. You got a 30-year-old calling plays who was a Murray State quarterback this week. They have gone beyond tank mode to go get Bryce Young, CJ Stroud. One of those two, it seems more likely.
Sounds like you're tiptoeing around. He hired the white legend and not the black legend. And I
sniffed that out pretty fast.
Yeah.
Huh? Okay.
Now here's the thing. I can't say that's not true, but I never pictured it like that. Like I pictured it like legitimately like Jeff Saturday was watching the game with Irsay. Like they were ripping back shots or something. They were just hanging out, doing dude stuff, right?
Dudes doing dudes, being dudes.
Just dudes, man. Just some Colts dudes doing Colts dudes things. He goes, I'm gonna have to get rid of Frank this week. And he's like, yeah, you do, man. I tell you what, crazy, but I'd love a shot at that job. And Irsay went, cheers. Like I think whoever was sitting next to, like if if he was at like freaking Senor Frogs in downtown Miami, and the dude bringing him the freaking yard of margarita said, I could coach that team. Be like, all right, waiter from Senor Frogs, you're now the coach of the Colts. Like, I think he was like probably just hopped up on adrenaline and whatever else is in that duffel bag of cash and drugs. And he just, all right, Jeff Saturday. And here's the quote. It's not like we're building rockets. Go ahead, Jeff, get it done. I think if what hurt Reggie Wayne is he was on the sideline. He was doing the job instead of sitting next to Irsay where he should have been.
We don't know how good or bad Saturday is. That's a great point as to why Irsay might have done that. I'm a little frustrated that the race card came out so fast just because it's football. Because look,
you act like you went away.
in baseball, let's do a New York one, right? Like Aaron Boone had never been a manager before, and he took over for the New York Yankees, and no one screamed, oh, because he's white. Like no one did that. But like baseball's had what? Robin Ventura, Aaron Boone. There's like 4 guys in a row. Gabe Kapler was another one.
You hear it though; it's just not as loud as it is in the NFL.
It was guys who had never been managers before go to the baseball dugout, and it was like, okay, like this is the new trend, a new voice. It just has never happened in football before. Everyone screamed racist. It's like, whoa, like baseball is more innovative than football at one point, and it seemed like people don't know how to react to it.
I mean, and I don't know the rules for interim head coach versus hiring a head coach. Like, if I assume they're not the same. I think interim I can make my friggin' Chihuahua the interim head coach without going through the NFL vetting process. But like when he hires a head coach, like if he takes, let's say Jeff Irsay knocks out of the park and they look like they're a different team, just still get a high draft pick, but you can see that he actually knows what he's doing. He's going to have to interview people of color before he takes the interim away, or he's going to get in trouble. I'm more offended by that. It's like, well, the guy obviously earned the job after you gave it to him. Why do we have to do this whole show? Why are we doing this? But that's going to be the rule. But it is what it is. The best part is this makes we don't get Josh McDaniels versus Frank Reich, because if you remember, McDaniels had the Colts job, decided to like about face go back to New England. That's when Frank Reich got it, and then the Colts and the Raiders play each other next week. The only thing that makes this even nearly as interesting are two factors. Jeff Saturday has recently tweeted out, Raiders look horrible. And now he has to coach against them. And this week he has to do media talking about the Raiders, where I'm going, well, it's a really talented team. I didn't mean horrible as in, gross. And then our boy Matt Verderam, who tweeted out what I believe should be a mandate for the Las Vegas Raiders. If you lose to Jeff Saturday, everyone is fired.
I love Verderam's tweet.
Yeah.
The whole thing. Yep. Everybody on the field, get them all out.
Yep.
I'll tell you right now, Levack, on a Tuesday, though, I know we got a lot of time before we got to make our picks this weekend. It's either Indy or pass for me on that game, because we've seen so many blown out coaches in college, and we saw it with Carolina. That's been constant covers. Not saying that your Raiders are going to lose.
Oh,
but it's Indy or pass for me right now on a Tuesday for that game.
I haven't even thought about betting yet.
20-17, the final. Vikings over the Commanders. The Vikings late score at the end. They needed everything to get by Washington. 7-1. Minnesota. It might have been Huerter again. It might have been Matthew Collar. Somebody calls Minnesota, the 2022 team, the most underappreciated and under-talked about 7-1 team ever.
I'm pretty sure I picked them to win their division before the season started.
Yes, you did.
Yeah. So smoke that. 4 games finished at 20-17 this weekend, and this is one of them. The team is talented. They have not clicked yet. They're still not doing all the things that you expect them to do under this new offensive head coach. The problem I have with this game is the disturbing visual of Kirk Cousins in like all the ice, and then Adam Schefter doing the same thing. And Schefter's just showing off that he's in shape. Like it's like it's just like we get it. The Schefter bought 9,000, had an upgrade, whatever. But I don't know. I don't feel like I learned. Like I thought the Vikings should have won by more. I don't think the Commanders are that good.
What I took away from this game, too, because it wasn't as exciting as I thought it might be, not as many points as I thought. I got to be careful with this stuff on social media, and I feel like there's something to be said about that on election day. My sister's calling me because she just took my parents to vote, and she wanted me to tell me how the experience went. Clearly,
your parents are not old enough to be taken to vote.
I know. That's why I'll take that call later. So Minnesota, selective with these videos. There's videos that have gone viral for Minnesota, from comparison to Mike Zimmer post-game locker room victory speech to Kevin O'Connell post-game locker room speech. It's brutal. Where like it's barely any energy. The hands are going up. Like Zimmer's looking for the game. It's just awkward. It doesn't feel like the rah-rah. And O'Connell, like he's going nuts for TJ Hawkinson. They're banging off of each other, hitting shoulder. And again, it could have been just a selective video, but it feels like there's something different with Minnesota.
In Zimmer's defense, he had that eye pressure thing. If somebody hit him too hard, that thing might have popped right out. Like remember how many times he almost lost an eye just because? Like you
don't have to be a rah-rah coach to be a great coach, but it feels like Minnesota's energy has just changed. Maybe those players are it's feeling it different with O'Connell than Zimmer. Let's talk about your Raiders. 27-20. They have the lead early. They're the most impressive team for the first hour of Sunday. Devontae Adams and Carr going off. Jacksonville comes back. Doug Peterson gets the W
from 1960 to 2021. The Raiders blew a 17 or greater point lead 5 times. This year, in 8 games, they've done it 3 times.
Oh,
yeah. They had it against Kansas City, Arizona, and now against Jacksonville. 17 plus point leads. 3 times this year they've blown them. I always try to look at these things under the lens of don't flush the guy too early, right? Because there was a point where even I gave up on Jim Harbaugh in Michigan, and now look what's going on. There's been points in the past where I've been like, that guy's crap, and then a little while later he starts to click and it looks good. I assume that they go to the half, they go in the locker room, and like McDaniels and his crew goes, all right, time to play Jenga. Like he's clearly not making adjustments. And I get it, when everything's working, what do you adjust? Something. Because obviously your opponents have been. If you flip the coaching staffs from Sunday, Doug Peterson takes that Raiders team, breaks it off in the Jags' ass. Like he would have won by 50 with the Raiders talent. He would have. Doug Peterson was out there, didn't get him. You got Doug Peterson. It happened.
Of those matchups you mentioned, that felt like coaching, because those leads you mentioned right there, that's a Super Bowl winning coach, a Super Bowl winning. Who did I miss? The Chiefs, the Jags, and who was the third team in there?
Cliff Kingsbury, the Cardinals.
Okay, so the Cardinals at least have
just really pretty.
There you go. They got a high-powered offense. They like to throw the ball deep.
I'm pretty sure the halftime adjustment for the Cardinals was, Kyler, go. Kyler, I'll give you your Xbox controller back if you go out there and get this done.
Did you just go full Jim Rome, by the way? Crumpled up the piece of paper after it taken, throwing it. There you go. I don't want any more Raider emails. Did it go in?
Yeah.
What a shot there. I don't know if Romeo always makes his shot there.
I missed with the pen earlier, but I made it with the paper.
It's a little bit of clock management when you've got that big of a lead. Just sit on the clock.
It's everything. Yeah. It's everything. You can't, like, again, it's almost like you show me what you're going to do for 30 minutes of football. Then I go into my locker room, and in 20 minutes I break down how to beat it. And you try to do the same exact thing. Like Derek Carr was frustrated. Devontae Adams was missing. He went on a milk carton for the second half. Josh Jacobs, they took away the run and the Raiders fell apart. And that's where we are. The Raiders are the biggest disappointment in the NFL this year.
Yes.
I don't think it's even close. I don't think there's a team that, because you in that division, you're like, well, how far do you expect them to go in that division? I thought they could win it.
Playoff team, maybe even we get a
wild
playoff
card
win.
worst case, but they could win it. The only team that's lived up to the building is the team that everybody thought fell off, and that's the Chiefs. Everybody else in that division is garbage.
If the Raiders are the most disappointing team in the NFL so far this season, halfway through the year, the most surprising teams, the Seattle Seahawks, 31-21 winners. I said our preview, if Arizona loses, I don't know how many times I can keep picking against Seattle. Double-digit winners in Seattle. Yeah. It's, we came off the Raider conversation. Balance. From wide receivers, DK Metcalf, Geno Smith looking like a different player, Tyler Lockett, a veteran who's been around. And you mentioned this in the preview as well. That's why I brought it up again. It is a young group of hungry, chip-on-shoulder dudes on defense who are making plays out in the Pacific Northwest.
And also with this team, I think you're seeing that teams who have both a quarterback and a running back are superior. Like there's games where you saw like two of them are coming up where the quarterback actually led the team in rushing yards too, but you had a running game, like you had something that could do something. This is a team in the Cardinals that all they had was Kyler Murray, and Kyler Murray is a better running back than he's a quarterback. With what we saw in this game, he was a better running back in this game. Geno Smith got it done with both his arm and his legs, but then Walker goes out there and continues. Walker's put up a case to be offensive rookie of the year, and he didn't get to play for the first half of the first quarter of the season. So I think you're looking at a Seattle team, which, as you mentioned, young, gritty, nasty defense wants to get out there. Pete Carroll doing what Pete Carroll does. Running back who is just grabbing the spotlight and running with it, literally. And a quarterback who, for the first time in his career, looks like he's earned his draft status that he should have had when he was a Jet.
Drew, let me throw you a random question here. 0.5 is the spread. Over under Jets plus Seahawks as playoff teams. I feel like the math is in your favor over. If you took the over, right? Over. So one of those two teams you feel confident can make it. Okay?
I mean, like, because again, Seattle is the kind of, like, the Rams are down, the Cardinals are down. They're going to have a shot. I don't think they win their division. I think the Niners will figure that out. But even the Niners are fallible. Nobody's playing better right now compared to what you thought they'd be than the Seahawks. You're right. They're the best. They're maybe the best story in football.
If we did an NFC power ranking, they'd be in the top 7 for sure, which would be the playoffs, and they'd probably be as high as top 5 because they'd be better than everybody in the NFC South. 16-13. Speaking about the NFC South, your new NFC South leader, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. What a horrible standalone game in the 4:30 window. I know 4:05.
I didn't even write it down.
I know 4:05 is technically Seattle, Arizona, World Series, and a bunch of other sport events. So it was standalone Bucks, Rams. I watched too much of this game. There were multiple times where I'm like, Rex, give me Encanto. Give me Toy Story 4 and that garbage movie.
Why hasn't this child demanded television time yet?
Hard game to watch, but in the end, there's a certain person named Tom Brady who plays for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. No timeouts, down 4, 50 seconds to play, game-winning touchdown drive. I wish I could give you more analysis or hot takes about this. Tom Brady is the answer. I can't wait till he plays till 50. No reason to retire now, Tom. You've already divorced your wife and you don't see your kids.
That was something that was, anybody who thinks the Bucs are going to do anything, you needed to see that. You need to see a little Tommy magic out there, and it happened. And is it Otten? Is that the
yes.
tight end's name? That catch he makes, and it looks like it's an easy catch, right? It's just out there in front of him, but it's so perfectly in front of him. He pulls it in the whole 9, and I can tell you right now, if he doesn't pull that in, Gronkowski is in a Buccaneers jersey within 72 hours. Like, he pulled that in, it might have kept Gronk's retirement alive. It was that nice of a catch on that touchdown. He drops that thing. Gronk is getting, like, Brady is, again, old school style, pulling up in the black van, Metallica blaring, and taking him with him.
I know I'm very nitpicky on this. I'm just gonna, as a Buccaneer fan, you didn't probably need to say at the end of the game that Tom Brady called that play and Leftwich said go for it. Byron Leftwich needs a win here at some point because the last 3 coaches we've heard from Brady and Belichick didn't get along. Right. Rumors that Brady and Bruce Arians didn't get along. Now Byron Leftwich is public enemy number 1 in Tampa. And rather give him credit.
You saw who Brady went and gave a very spirited hug to Byron Leftwich. And I'm pretty sure what was being said that is I told you to have and listen to me. But that's the thing too, is like, you've got to know, like, if you're Byron Leftwich and you're coaching Tom Brady, you need Tom Brady more than Tom Brady needs you. Tom Brady will call his own offense at this point. He knows what he wants to do. We've seen practices where he's got 8 receivers, 2 running backs, 3 whatever, but 1 tight end, and he has a different pass for each one of them, and they all know where it's going to be. And that dude's brain is wired for 2 things right now: football and banging every supermodel he can because Giselle's not in his house anymore, or he's not in hers. I don't know, whichever one.
They entered this game as a 13.5-point underdog. They did everything they could to win. Credit to the losing Tennessee Titans. 20-17 losers in overtime on the road at Arrowhead. Mike Vrabel loved this stat that of all the games the Titans have played this season, they have yet to have a game where they had over 300 yards of offense. Without 300 yards of offense, Tennessee is still at 5-3. We're a few plays away from being 6-2. Tennessee, great job. You didn't win. Mahomes, very good at football.
I gotta tell you too, like, there's part of what the Titans did that if I'm the Chiefs or a Chiefs fan, I'm nervous. Mahomes threw 446 yards, and you won by 3. Like, is it the bend don't break? Is it the make him? He's going to get yards, so make sure they're happening in the middle of the field. Take the guys down right away. You know what I mean? Like what? Like Vrabel figured something out, and not everybody has the personnel to do it. But I can guarantee you that a lot of teams are going to be watching that film on how to stop the Chiefs' offense from putting a lot of points on the board. Sure, you're going to get yards. Enjoy your yards. Eat them up. You ain't getting points. That was impressive from Vrabel and the Titans. But 446 passing yards, only 20 points.
The question was out earlier about what Derrick Henry would look like going forward. There were moments where Derrick Henry looked like the best back in the NFL. Maybe not consistent through the whole game, but they were like, he's got to be on your team. And to the Mahomes thing you brought up there, as someone who has him on 60% of his fantasy teams, I have no problem with him throwing for 400 yards consistently.
Do you want my QB stats now, or do you want to do the last game?
Let's do the last game here. Ravens 27, Saints 13, Baltimore. I got another stat for you here. The Baltimore Ravens, the team that I picked to win the Super Bowl. A lot of recaps this week, but you know what? When we get stuff right, we want to tell you we got it right. We've been having some lumps this season.
I didn't get a lot right this weekend. Let's let everybody have what they have.
Baltimore is the only team through 9 games this season that in every game, all 9 games, has led by double digits at one point. This one they win by double digits in New Orleans.
Saints are not good, which makes the 24-0 win over the Raiders even worse. Kenyon Drake is a playmaker. Like it was one of those deals where you don't have Gus Edwards, you don't have this, you don't have that, you don't have everything. Lamar Jackson's doing. He's willing the team down the field, but when he needed somebody, Kenyon Drake was there. I just wish that at some point he had been in the Raiders. I think we could. Oh wait, he was there last year and the year before. Yeah, playmaker, got things done. Saints are not good. Saints are not going to do anything this year. Sorry, Saints fans. Sorry, Sorry,
Mac.
Yeah, sorry, Mac. But Ravens, your Ravens look pretty good. They're finding ways to win. They're still figuring out what they have. That defense is going to get better as they gel. They're a good team. They're a very, very good team.
Chris Olave is really good for the Saints. This is not their year. They got a ways to go in that division. They benefit because of how bad it is. And
Mike Thomas had a paper cut.
Yeah,
so he's done for the year.
We're just never going to talk about Lamar's contract anymore, huh? We're just going to let every game he plays well. Not you and I, but I'm talking national discussion. Like, oh, we're just going to act like that's not happening, huh? Like Dak Prescott, we did 2 years on. We're just going to let the Lamar thing go away now. Okay.
Well, what's worse is when they franchise tag him, because that's going to be because there's a chance you're going to see he's going to get franchise tagged. Saquon Barkley's going to get franchise tagged. Like, there's going to be a couple. Like the only thing that might save Saquon Barkley from being franchise tagged, some of these big players who people want to pay. Lamar Jackson's got a way bigger case because he hasn't been injured every whatever, blah, blah, blah. But like the only thing that could save Saquon maybe is if Daniel Jones plays well enough that the Giants are a playoff team and they're like, and he holds them over the barrel for a couple million. But he's not going to get 40 a year. He's not going to get that. But You're gonna guys like Lamar Jackson, Saquon Barkley are gonna be pissed off when they get franchise tagged this year.
Let's figure out a 3-way trade between Lamar Jackson, Saquon Barkley, and Tua. Let's figure that out somehow.
If you're
some
Miami,
way.
you can't let Tua leave. Miami, you can't.
If you think you can get somebody better though, like Lamar Jackson,
who's better than the guy who every game he starts and finishes, you win.
The guy who is an MVP and has led 9 times this season by double digits.
How many quarterbacks threw for 300 or more yards this weekend?
Ooh, this weekend.
Mahomes counting Thursday, Sunday, and Monday.
Okay, Mahomes is definitely one.
Yep.
Oh boy. Tua, 35 points.
Yep.
That's 2.
Yep.
I would guess 2. 2. Nice.
Out of 26 starting quarterbacks, 2 threw for more than 300 yards. How many threw for over 200 yards?
I would say you gave me 26. So I know Justin Fields, I believe earlier in the show, we said he didn't. So that one's out. I'm going to go with 23. Everybody but Fields threw for over 200 yards.
13.
Ugh,
13 quarterbacks threw for less than 200 yards. Friggin' Malik Willis threw for like 80. Yeah.
13.
It was the quarterback position is morphing into a dual threat position. If you want to throw, you need a guy like Tua. You do. Tua's your guy. 2 guys over 300, 13, half of the starting quarterbacks over 200 yards passing. How about that? Joe Burrow over 200, but not by a lot. That was just those were the things that caught my eye this weekend with all of that.
2 for 2?
Oh, rimmed out. There's your NFL recap, Daddy. And
let's not end every segment with Daddy. Let's not do that. I got another local story. I thought we got all our local stories through. I got one other one here, but before we get to it, let's give love to Lily and David Fine Jewelers. There's the wedding band, guys. It is November. Black Friday.
Unless you're listening, he put his weird fist out.
Black Friday deals are on the way. Buy your engagement ring at the spot. I bought my engagement ring at it. Lily and David Fine Jewelers. Work with Alyssa. Work with David.
If they can get him married, anybody.
That's right.
Lily and David Fine Jewelers.
Especially this holiday season. Some of you guys think you're clever. You're going to have a Christmas proposal, the New Year's Eve, the New Year's Day proposal. Make sure you get the ring right for that really cool proposal that's on the way. They can help you find that ring. They can help you with the proposal as well. They did that for me, and I ignored their advice. And
she still said yes somehow.
The
ring was that good.
There was shots of
burping and farting.
Love was in the air, though. And Lily and David Fine Jewelers
like burps and farts.
Can tell you that story as well. Also, for the holiday season, if you're already engaged, if you're already married, you want to find something special for her that she can find under the tree this year. Earring, necklace, a cool piece of jewelry that you didn't know before. What? No. A watch? I thought you said a watch.
I would like a watch.
Okay.
I would like a
watch you could find as well.
But I'm not going to marry you. I'm sorry.
Grandpa, for your aunt, your uncle. I guess aunts can wear watches. I went really quick.
Yeah. Why are you so sexist?
I don't know. Lily and David.
Women know time now. Were you saying they don't need to watch because there's a clock on the stove?
I didn't say that.
That's what you were thinking?
I fixed the time on the stove, by the way.
Before the show, Lily and David Fine Jewelers, love them. Completely different thing. Levack and
Route
Goz,
50, the shops of Wilton. Stop in, say hello.
Levack and Goz, like, subscribe, do all the things. Before the show, Goz goes, "Do you know how to turn your dishwasher into a snowblower?" And I was like, "No, Goz, I don't." And he goes, "You give your wife a shovel." And I was like, wow.
I didn't say that.
Wow. I was like, damn, dude, that's harsh. And he pulls me in real close and he looks around and he goes, no, I'm not going to do that.
All right, thank you. All right, good. I was going to edit that out. I rarely do I edit that show. If you watch the visual side, you saw me go to my phone, marking what it was. 1:67-minute mark was about to be edited. I'm going to go to Kevin Huerter. Is the Huerter banner up there?
All right. I'm going to tell you, before the show.
Huerter.
Hold on. Before the show, Goz's wife called me. And she goes, "Hey, Levack, you know you tell Goz with 2 black eyes?" I'm like, "No, what do you tell him with 2 black eyes?" She goes, "Nothing. I already tried to tell him twice." And I was like, "Jordan." And she was like, "I'm just kidding, but you tell him to make sure the car seat's here and he puts gas in my damn car." She's like, I was like, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. You got it. Whatever you say, ma'am.
116 to 113, the final. Golden State defeated Sacramento on Monday night to end their 5-game losing streak.
Joaquin thinks I'm funny.
Joaquin. He's still celebrating the Astros' victory. I don't want to kill him. My goodness.
He is.
Joaquin's a good man.
He is.
I think he followed me on Instagram. I don't know what I'm doing with it, though.
He didn't leave me any Citizen Cider.
No,
bring home. I thought I'd get a care package from him.
He left me a DM on Instagram, and I don't know what it says or how to. I got to go back and check. I think it might be my fault. Anyways, 116-113 the final. The Warriors had lost 5 games in a row. They were about to lose their 6th game in a row to the Kings. There was some, we'll call it, questionable officiating. So much
we can
so
say crappy calls
that Shenzo and Kevin Huerter went to Twitter. Only thing we can do at this point is get fined. 0 accountability. Had 13,000 likes in less than 16 hours. Do you feel like the Huerter situation, who, by the way, is playing the best of his career right now?
That's
Kevin
great.
Huerter, he is awesome right now.
The Rick Astley Rick rolls because of the headband. Oh my God.
It's a great spot for him, man. I know he's already got the contract. I was going to say at this point in his career, he should go after that second contract. He's already got the contract. He's got the money now. He's putting up the stats. Is there something about that, though, that when we look at what's going on in Sacramento, the team right now with the longest consecutive non-postseason streak of any North American pro franchise, that this is the spot he's in, that people aren't going to ever give his Kings credit? By the way, 17 points, 3 rebounds, and 3 assists per game right now for Huerter.
And the one thing that doesn't show on the stat sheet, if you watch Kevin Huerter play, he's always where he's supposed to be. He's always hustling. You don't like when you watch it sometimes you're like, I don't know if he's hustling. He is. He's just effortless. He is the guy you want. Like if you're a coach, that's the guy you want. I'm gonna call that. You know, I love to tell guys like, shut up and play, stuff like that. Coach's move. That's a coach's tweet right there. That's a smart tweet. Like you set the money aside. I'm probably gonna hit for like 25K. You put that over here, and hey, how many likes? I mean, it's the value's there. You know that this is now they're going to have to, whenever there's a call on you, it's going to be evaluated because you said that. Coaches do that sometimes. Like Tomlin in Pittsburgh used to do it all the time. He knew he was going to get fined, but he called out that they were hitting Ben. Rivera used to call it out because he knew Cam Newton was getting hit and it wasn't the way he should. These guys are. Tom Brady, if you notice, Tom Brady is always talking to the ref. Sometimes you've got it like, it's like, oh, I thought he was being a jerk, but he realized that he was going to have to sacrifice money to do this, and people take it more seriously. Coach's move. Heady play from the Ginger.
A lot of games, like 9 times the less of the season, 9 of the 81 have been played so far. In Sacramento's only 2 games out of the postseason, but a tone setter, we'll call it, a culture-changing tweet. Other guys in Sacramento might have been just happy to be there and get their money and put up their stats. Huerter at this point of his career, it's just really cool to see. It's like, no, I want more. I was on a team that made it to the conference finals. I was the person who was getting booed in the Garden and Trae Young and everything else. I want to have that type of feel here in Sacramento. That is a really cool thing. By the way, he's got a really good chance. This is way in the future too, but the All-Star game is in Utah this year.
Yeah.
At one point, Kevin Huerter was leading the NBA in 3-point percentage.
Oh,
I'd like to see him get in the 3-point shootout, have that national stage.
I could see him getting into a rhythm and be in trouble for people in that. Joaquin, Citizen Ciders for both of you next show. The DM was an alert that Cider Work posted the Hideaway Sunday recap reel. So it was letting you know that he included you in the Citizen Cider.
Oh, cool.
That's
all right.
See, Joaquin's not just a celebrating guy.
Even when you read that to me, I was still confused by it, but I'm happy we are a part of it.
They posted a reel and you were mentioned in it.
Okay.
Are you happy now?
Yeah, I know what that means.
I was also mentioned in it, but I understood it and didn't make a big deal about it. So, Huerter's a good dude. I'm happy with him. I still haven't been up to his place, the Impact Center, though.
It's awesome.
I haven't been there. I'm lazy.
We won't be. We got to do a little scheduling change, though. We had planned on going to the Impact Center to close out here November,
December.
December.
Were supposed to be doing live shows from there.
We were.
Did they realize nobody watches this crap?
Did they realize that they're taking that money and paying the fine? Huerter tweeted that on Monday, and all of a sudden
Huerter was like, no, you know what it was? Huerter was like, wait a minute. That's the fat guy who kept calling me Red Velvet, and the other hefty gentleman who thinks all gingers look alike. F those guys. They're not coming in. How many times you call him Chris Honorado?
I never called him Chris Honorado.
How many times you call Chris Honorado Kevin Huerter? Okay, exactly. So it's all right. Listen.
I just find the timing of that very strange. That all of a sudden Huerter's complaining to the officials, and you and I are getting moved that Impact.
Which is fine.
There's other people to blame for sure.
Again, I'm almost positive it's mainly because it's just like nobody cares.
I have a feeling another sports show showed up, and then a fart noise went off. They said, "Get these people out of here."
Define sports show.
Not us.
Yeah.
Radio.
So I think those are the most.
That's it. That's it. Q&A end of the day. If
Let
we
me
got
ask,
some
let me
floating
do
around
this.
here.
Let me ask you a question
Sure.
first. Let me tell you a little story. I've been getting abused all day here at Techie's Fire and Water Restoration. Your best way back to normal. New and improved construction division here to help you out. So now we can not only take care of any fire, water, mold damage you have. We have a construction team that come in, build everything for you however you'd like. It's beautiful. It's a wonderful thing. There's synergy. I love it. It's good times. Go to tefirewater.com. So remember Maddie Sims? She played for Siena, and then she transferred to UMass.
And she worked for Albany.
She worked for the Empire.
Albany Empire. That's
she
right.
worked for the Empire. So she reached out to me a while back. She's like, "Hey, I'm Levack. I'm wrapping up school. I'm working here, but I kind of want to get back into sports. Would you have any time to talk?" I was like, "Absolutely, whenever you want. Stop by whenever you want." So I didn't hear from her a while. And then last week she hits me up. She goes, "Hey, are you still available to talk?" I'm like, "Yeah. You know what? As a matter of fact, I got Matt Woods, my team president here. I'm in Albany. Stop by Techie's anytime you want." Great. What's the address? I'm like, so I give her the address. So she shows up there. We have a great conversation. Mike Huerter even stops in. He's like, "Oh, if you're thinking about getting back into sports, let's talk." And great thing. She's, great person, very smart. At some point she lets loose that she lives in South New Jersey. I literally like stop and I look at her and I go, "You drove here from," so I'm like, "How?" So like over 7 hours.
7 hours.
Yeah. So everybody's destroying me because I told her to stop in. She goes, "I made a point not to tell you that I didn't live in the area right now, that I'm looking to come back eventually, maybe, whatever." But so am I like a dick for not like, or is my conscience clean in this? Because she made a point of saying she just really wanted to come back. She visited some friends while she was here, but the key function was to come to me and talk about sports in the area and stuff like that. Am I a dick because she drove 7 hours to pick this brain?
Knowing, you know her a little better than I do, but we've worked together and have a vibe.
I've stayed in touch with her. We've become friends.
But the reason I feel like you stay in touch with her is not only because she's talented and knows what she's doing, but she understands how to work in a live sports setting. And that's really hard to find for people who don't know this style of what you do. And she's definitely a person who can kill it with that job. Now,
and she made a point because she might want to work sports. She might want to work in this area. So because I've been dialed into it, she stayed in touch with me. Like, I don't think it's like we have a lot of similar interests. But she went to UMass for a little bit. I mean,
and there's the thing. And that's why I don't think you should feel any guilt, because her mindset is she played D1 college basketball. She's been to 3 different schools, transfer portal, COVID, coaching changes. This is hard for people to understand. A 7.5 hour trip for a recent D1 college basketball player in her mindset is not that far.
All right.
I know that sounds bizarre.
I'm getting destroyed here. Like, you made that poor girl drive all this way and you didn't like blah, 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 blah. So like, I looked at her, I was like, "I'm buying you breakfast." So I took her to breakfast and everything. But like, I'm getting destroyed. And she's like, now she feels bad because I'm getting picked on. I'm like, you can't drive 7 hours for a sports talk conversation, a sports enterprise conversation, and then feel bad too. Like, no, because now I feel worse. But yeah, I'm sitting there, I'm like, "Do you want anything?" I was like, "Here's this table. Do you want to can we fit this in your car?" I want to make sure that it was the trip was worth the while.
Well, there you go. That's the other part of it too. She probably said, the fact that they found out I lived in South New Jersey, which is basically Philly, and she drove from Philly to Albany for a job for you guys, leaves no doubt that if she's going to work with you guys, okay, she just did that. That answers our questions about her commitment.
Like I told her from the beginning, like right now it's off season and I'm kind of bouncing. I don't really have a position up here at this exact moment in time. So I was just like, "Hey, but I'm down to like whatever you need." And yeah, so I still feel like she should have told me that it was that far. I would not have let her make the trip.
I think she's okay with not, because if she thought that was like a job offer or an interview or a recruiting process, because she's still in that mindset too, she might have thought, okay, she's in South New Jersey, we're just going to pick somebody else. She didn't want to get anybody. She's a competitor. She's got the mindset.
I would have made her come later and I would make her be part of the show.
What if she had Skyped? What if she had Zoomed? Would the interview and conversation have been way different?
I don't know. It was. Remember, I don't have a position right now. So
do you think it would have been different with Mike or Matt? Let me rephrase that.
They wouldn't have got involved.
Okay.
Matt might have. Mike would have been like, whatever. Mike would have walked behind me, gave me the finger, and
I think the fact that she showed up in person and
got to meet Mike. It was
Yeah.
worth it.
Good for her. And I don't feel it. I do not have, as much as that was so easy for me to pick on you right there, just because I know Maddie and just because she's a super competitor, and that's a great thing to have. I am not roasting you on that. I wanted though, but I can't.
Tech East is always looking for good people to help with the mitigation process and construction and all that. So there's a bunch of guys who came through for interviews today, and every single one that left the building, someone would yell out, "How was that guy?" And then someone else would yell out and go, "Not sure I'm going to give him the job. How far did you make him drive to not get a job?" It was all day. Or they're like, "What? Like I like that guy a lot. I'm pretty sure we're going to hire him." Well, then it was worth the trip, wasn't it? And like all day. I feel terrible. I do. I feel terrible. I do. I'm like, I used to drive 16 hours to work. So
her social isn't public anymore, right?
I don't know.
Right.
I don't know.
If she was on social, I definitely would have tweeted at her like right now, like, wow, can't believe Levack.
She might be. You can check.
Right, I'll check after the show.
Like it's always been like because of the Siena tie, because of the Empire tie, like periodically I'll get like an email or something and like a question and I fire back, and because I'm very like anyone who actually gives a crap what I think, I always try to, like, especially it used to be radio, you know that I would get like random kids getting out of school and like freaking Minnesota would for some reason would email me looking for advice on radio, and I'd be like, I just never left.
The other cool part about Maddie, I don't even know if she remembers this, and I'm almost positive you and I were standing right next to each other.
She did Baby Shark for the Empire.
Not that, but that is also in that list of memories. We have like a sheet. So like when you do these live events at any sport, you have like a sheet of like who's there or whatever.
Right.
And her name was on the sheet. And I'm like, I don't think that's the girl from Siena, because they have a basketball player named Maddie Sims. And I stood up and there was a girl who was like eye level with me. And I'm like, just leaned over, probably not like a creep, but I just like, "Hey, are you Maddie Sims from Siena?" She's like, "Yeah, how do you know?" And I'm like, "Oh, like eye level at 6'2". You're like, you're on the sheet." And I reckon I'm like, yeah. So she stands out in a crowd too.
So Matt,
I don't know, she's 6'2". She's like 6 foot, I'd say.
6'2".
Is she?
Yeah, good call.
Wow.
The only reason I know that is so Matt Woods is here. Matt Woods about 6'4". Hobart alum.
Yeah.
And I'm about 6'2", in that range. She walks in and they're eye to eye. And I'm like, "Holy crap, how tall are you?" She goes, "Well, 6'2", but I'm wearing heels." I'm like, it's a baller move. Good for you. Good for you. I'm like looking up. I'm like, all right. Like, you tell me what we're doing next. Land of the Giants. Let's roll. So no. All right. So I'm not a dick for that.
No, you were not.
All right. Let me ask you. Q&A in the day. We'll hit some of your questions coming up. If you haven't commented in, you can do so. Tech East Fire Water Restoration's Facebook page, Godzilla's YouTube, Goz's Twitter. Get your questions in real quick. We're gonna wrap the show as fast as we can. But question for you guys.
Yes.
Powerball, if you would want it, I guess somebody in California hit it. $1.9 billion. I believe the take home would have been $700 to $900 million instant if you took it. What do you do if you had that kind of money?
Man, I keep going back to buying a sports franchise. I texted you a little bit about this yesterday. I'm like, I think I would. The idea of running a sports franchise is really cool for me. And this is awkward sitting next to somebody who runs a sports franchise. Like, "Oh, is it cool, guys? I already do that." My answer would be buy a sports team, though. I would.
You still own a sports franchise.
Right. I'll leave that part in.
Yeah. Go ahead. It's fine. I don't care. Let's see who figures it out. I've always been the guy who, you're never going to believe this, but I've always thought of other people first when it comes to that stuff. But with this kind of money, my very first move is to my guy, Dave, my tax guy. Because I'm just like, how do I keep as much of this as possible? And how much can I play with right now? But I'm not like, I was joking with you and Boston Dan last night, but I don't know if it's a joke. I might go for the full Peter Griffin. Remember that Family Guy where he got like lipo and this and that, and then like he's just beautiful. He went to sleep fat and old, and he broke up beautiful. I might do that. I might just try to find like a team of surgeons with low scruples, and just go like talented but just low scruples, and just go, "Give me the Peter Griffin."
At DHF Levack on Twitter, your tweet earlier today makes a lot more sense.
Oh, the Brady one? How great is that, though? It's two pictures of Brady. It's Brady like as a rookie with the Pats and Brady now. And like, now he's got the model cheekbones and all the crap, and he just looks like a normal dude in the first one. And it's like it's those, and it goes, proof you're not ugly, you're just poor. I'm telling you, I'm all about it. I would do it. Like, I got to get the RV. I think I would give Mike Huerter money.
Oh, that's nice.
I would, just so I could stop hearing about all the money he's giving me.
I would buy a beach house in Rehoboth Beach, Delaware. It's a favorite family vacation spot.
That's nice.
And it's a spot that's nice to a bunch of different places in Baltimore. And
I would keep my house. I would have it completely fixed up. I would keep it so that's where everyone would think they would go to bother me for money. I wouldn't live there anymore. But I would stay in the area because I think everything I'd want to do, even though you don't like to let me be a part of your personal life, I would want to do all the stuff like with us, like our friends, our group, and then you'd be able to see it up close and not be invited.
You'd be actually pay for someone to keep me away from you.
Right. I don't. So I said, little Benny Wednesday, my guy Ben Nelson out there who does a lot of stuff for the Empire. I said one of my first things would be negotiate a price with Ben, because Ben's such a nice guy. Like he's an Eagle Scout. Like he's 19 years old. I can't get him to tell me like if he's ever had a beer. I can't get him to tell me who he finds attractive. I can't, like, none of these things. So I was like, Ben, I need you to figure out a price in your head where you're the guy who answers the phone when people ask me for money and says, no, fuck you, and hangs up.
I love that. No, Benny Wednesday.
Because it would just be fun to watch the transition of discomfort to like, this dude hates a couple $100 every time I tell you to F off, like
the new version of Walter White without the meth.
Yes. Or with it. I don't care. I mean,
shaved head.
I'm not going to tell you how to do your job.
Weird.
You live your dream. All right. Q&A to end the day.
Do you have one from Tommy Gross? I know he usually leads off. I did not see him.
First question, okay. Tommy. He's. What do you think of Bain signing with San Antonio? Bain, who was with the Carolina Cobras last year, signed with the San Antonio Gunslingers this year. Go ahead. I'm actually in a unique position. I can talk about this shit again.
I'm kind of squinting on our visual side. I believe he got hurt last year at some point because
he was hurt, and then they brought in Tommy Grady for a couple games after a couple different things. But he did play in the championship game.
Yeah, and which
was probably his worst game of the year was the championship game.
And that's it, right? Like that's the confusion about Jonathan Bain, because he got hurt, and at some point he was the MVP. And I also was interested of why, because boy, he was so charismatic at media day, wasn't he? Like, don't you see him being a broadcaster if he wants to at some point, just like leaving the playing field and going to do something else? He stole the media day. I think he has a career in broadcasting, and I'm surprised he did come back.
I'm not shocked he came back at all, and that's his home. He lives in Texas. I believe it was a decent payday too, which, again, I've talked to Bain 3 to 4 times ever. And I love that guy. Like, I think he's a good dude. He can sling the rock. I'm happy for San Antonio. I'm happy for him. I think that I think a lot of good teams are getting good quarterbacks already. I think it's an interesting thing that's happening.
He's super talented. He's really good.
I know that there's people up here who wanted to see him jump over to this team.
Oh,
but, like fans have asked me, like, hey, do you think we could get him? And I'm like, I don't know. I have no say right now. I have no title. I'm a man without a job at the moment.
I've got one fantasy and one gambling question.
Right.
Question about college basketball. College basketball is tipped off. Kevin Sweeney, our former intern, now with Sports Illustrated, people are talking about gambling. He said 25 points is too much to bet on Northwestern versus Chicago State. Do you even touch college basketball until the NFL's over? Are you going to?
Sometimes, like if I know I'm going to watch a game, like if a game is got my attention, I'll take a look at it. And if it all works out, like if the spread's where I want it to be and I got some money, yeah, I'll throw it in there.
I will stay away this year because a lot of people will bet brand names here from like November until Christmas. And I feel like that's where they get you, betting the Kansas, Dukes, Kentuckys, especially when these guys are like super young, 18, 19. And like if they're playing like a Bryant or a Davidson, like that's their biggest game of the year. So those spreads scare me early on. I'm probably not going to touch a single college basketball game till 2023. I got a fantasy football question here. I probably should save this for We Talk Fantasy. After Justin,
we'll give you the good answer here.
After Justin Fields' performance, would you consider trading him if you have him on a team in fantasy? What are these situations? Yeah, trade him away, I should say.
Oh, trade him away? Oh, who's your other quarterback?
Yeah, that's what's hard about this. I feel like the stock's never going to be higher for Justin Fields than right now, and especially if it's a non-keeper league. And there's also a point of like these trades. I get the question like, hey, I got Justin Fields on my bench. I have 2 quarterbacks. Should I trade him? You also at one point have to score more points than who you're playing. And I know everybody wants to trade everybody in fantasy because it's a long season.
I made more trades this year in one than I probably made the last 3. Corey, hey, Goozy, CFP. If it came down to Oregon and TCU, who gets in? Both teams potentially could have Heisman candidates.
Oh, Corey.
Oregon or TCU, who are you putting in?
If the college football playoffs started today, I would put in TCU because they're undefeated. However, that spread, College Game Days in Austin, and they are a 7-point favorite, Texas to TCU. They're a 7. You want to talk about a weird-ass line. They are a 7-point favorite to the undefeated number 4 team in the country in the same state as that team. I would put TCU in this week. I love that Oregon question, Corey. We give you grief. College football are your best questions, way better than your NBA questions. Oregon.
I think you can't just compliment him. It's like, you're a piece of crap.
They used to do that with you, Cole. I never agree with Levack, but I'll give him this one. Oregon's the best team in the Pac-12. They're better than USC. They're better than UCLA. And Bo Nix is fantastic this season.
Good for Bo Nix, huh?
Yeah.
Good for him.
Got out of Auburn. Ran the hell out of there.
I don't know. Like, I'm going to do this last question. And then, by the way, can you talk to Ryan McCarthy? He keeps trying to get us to plug his stupid show.
No, Ryan, we're not doing it.
We're not. You got to if you put a question there, I might plug your show.
Have you listened to Have a Donut?
Right. It's he's someone that's no credentials required.
Post-game show.
Yeah. All right. Instacam. Did you guys see Back Nine Bry in his Ariel costume? I did not. Thank God. Thank God I didn't see it. So for you guys who don't know, like, first of all, he was our intern. I love that he has no shame. I love it. Good for him for that. But where do I go with that? You know what I mean? Like, what do I do? He's still the same kid who was an intern for us at the track, who I said, yeah, if you want to have a beer or two, and then 15 minutes later, he's shit-faced. And it's like, all right, just stand in the corner. And he's wearing an old Goz ID.
I'll say this about Ryan Radigan. I know he's going to embrace this if he hears this at some point. Not only was our intern who he loved, but we hired him as a producer. And he will fully admit he had no idea how to run the board. I don't think there's anybody who struggled more with running a board than him, and it wasn't his thing. Then he was going to do some type of on-field, like he always was a part of the Empire games, but I don't think he like wanted a task. I think he just wanted to do him. Like he feels like he is this new breed of media. I don't even know what we call this. Brian Radigan is Brian Radigan, not John Longton, but I feel like him and John Longton fall into that.
Influential influencer. Yeah, right. I mean, because like the influencer makes you think like people are going to do stuff, right? Like, so like if
the Kardashian,
Goz is somewhat of an influencer right now because he talks about Lily and David Fine Jewelers, and then people do shop at Lily and Fine Jewelers. I can't imagine Brian Radigan going with anything like, "Hey, you know what? If you want to dress like the Little Mermaid." And by the way, let's speak about this Little Mermaid thing real quick, okay? Can we just get into this for 1 second? I know we're running late. Anyone who was upset that the Little Mermaid was black, but wasn't upset that she was a short, drunk person at a kid's Halloween thing, you need to look in the mirror and live with that, okay? You need to do that. I don't care what color Little Mermaid is, but she shouldn't be a 4'0" former intern of Levack and Goz. Shouldn't happen.
Yeah, go out and vote today, all right? This is the problem with the country.
Right. Yeah, you want to fix this country, vote, or else there could be short, weird dudes who dress like jockeys one week and Ariel the next.
And if you're listening on the audio side and you're listening on a Wednesday and you already voted, thank you.
And if you're listening on a Wednesday and you didn't vote, the least you can do is Venmo me at Jeff-Levack some money. I think that's the right thing to do.
For America.
Yeah, you want some advice for America? At Jeff-Levack on Venmo. Go ahead, give yours too. It's
at Tom Goz, TOMGOZ.
At Jeff-Levack, at Tom Goz. Venmo us money. That's the advice. You'll feel better about yourself.